Unexpectedly losing some of the most important and brilliant musicians is among the darkest times in music history. These artists passed away far too soon, whether it was due to suicide, overdosing, or an unusual accident. Most people remember where they were the moment they heard that Michael Jackson, the king of pop, died after a bad reaction to a medication. The king of pop left many in tears after the news broke, and similarly, many more moments like this happened throughout history. Watch full video to learn more about iconic deaths in music history. Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was shaping the way that music was viewed in pop culture. His iconic rock riffs that were the foundation to more doo-wop rock of the 50s and 60s gave the public high hopes for the young budding star. However, all that came to a halt when the young man, 22 years old at the time, suffered through a terrible plane crash in Iowa, just moments after taking off. The young man died instantly, and the news shocked the nation. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was making major waves in the psych rock world, and it was widely known that he was changing the music industry as we all knew it. His impeccable skills on guitar were unmatched, and to this day, Hendrix is still regarded as one of the best guitarists of all time. Unfortunately, we didn't get much of Hendrix, as the rock star passed away at just 27 years old in 1970. What's worse, Hendrix died from choking on his own vomit after getting high in his London apartment from benzos. Patsy Cline. The first woman to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, Patsy Cline was on the rise. Her beautiful vocals and catchy tunes were everywhere in the 50s, and she had so much promise. Unfortunately, Cline is another one on the list that passed way too soon from a plane crash. She was just 33 at the time. Otis Redding. The popular theme continues. Otis Redding was just 26 years old when he died in a plane crash during an ice storm in Wisconsin. The most heartbreaking part was Redding wasn't even famous yet, and his music was only hitting the soul charts. After his death, the Billboard 100 chart-topping song, "Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay," was released posthumously, and Redding reached a fame that he couldn't even enjoy. Kurt Cobain. Another member of the 27 Club, Kurt Cobain. The lead singer of Nirvana was at the forefront of the 90s grunge movement and was a huge pop culture icon during that time. However, substance abuse and mental health got the better of Cobain, and in 1994, the world came crashing down in April when it was announced Cobain had killed himself with a shotgun. Bob Marley. Reggae king and Rastafarian Bob Marley passed away too soon at just 33 years old. Not only was Marley a major icon for the black community, but he brought Rasta's culture to America and was a prolific songwriter. Unfortunately, Marley passed from melanoma and became very weak and frail in the months leading up to his death. He never left a will behind, which caused some heartbreak and discourse for his 11 children. Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury, the flamboyant frontman for Queen, saddened the whole world when he passed away in 1991. Being probably one of the most widely recognized singers in the whole world, Mercury left behind a legacy unmatched. Sadly, Mercury passed away from bronchial pneumonia, a result of his AIDS diagnosis. Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison is another 27 Club member and lead singer of the incredible band from the 60s, The Doors. Morrison, who was occasionally problematic and erratic, was still hugely involved in changing a decade, and his shaman beliefs and spiritual ways inspired a whole genre of music. Passing away in his bathtub at his Paris apartment, it was never fully concluded what caused his death, since it was not French law to perform an autopsy. It was written that he died from heart failure, and fans to this day still visit his grave. Judy Garland. Judy Garland was not just a wonderful singer and performer, but a phenomenal actress as well, so it came as a huge shock to the public when her death was announced. The iconic performer died from an accidental barbiturate overdose when she was just 47 years old, leaving behind her children and a huge legacy that continues on to this day. John Lennon. Everyone knows what happened to John Lennon, but at the time it was world news and the whole globe was in mourning. The iconic Beatles member was shot dead just outside of his own apartment in New York. To this day, the apartment still has people leaving flowers outside the front doors, and the Beatles' influence in music and pop culture has never wavered. Janis Joplin. Another flame that burned bright got snuffed out too soon. Janis Joplin has still remained one of the most influential women in rock and roll history and has continued to be at the forefront of inspiration for many female performers. Being another member of the 27 Club, Joplin was found dead in 1970 from an accidental heroin overdose. She was found in her Los Angeles apartment hours after she failed to show up for a concert. Michael Jackson. The king of pop has a suspicious and unusual death. Michael Jackson was found dead in his home from cardiac arrest after mixing medication that wasn't meant to be mixed. His death, which has since been ruled a homicide, caused the whole world to mourn in 2009 when the singer was just 50 years old. He left behind 4 children and a huge empire. Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls has never left hip-hop enthusiasts' hearts following his death in 1997. The rapper was on the rise, releasing some of the biggest rap songs to hit mainstream media in history. Devastatingly, Biggie was shot dead at a stoplight in Los Angeles, but his murder remains a mystery. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's voice was incredible, and her ballads hit the soul of music lovers everywhere. The beloved soul and R&B singer had a difficult time, going through addiction and domestic abuse in the spotlight. It all came to a crashing halt for the singer in 2012 when she was found dead in her Los Angeles home right before she was set to attend the Grammys. It was reported that the 48-year-old accidentally drowned. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur was not only iconic in the rap game, but was a wonderful actress, and according to those that knew him, a beautiful soul. Although it's still unclear the reasoning behind his death, Shakur was murdered in Las Vegas when he was just 25 years old in 1996. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse is another member of the 27 Club, which is heartbreaking when one takes a look at her story. The Back to Black singer was a huge icon during the short time she was hitting fame. The singer was known to have major substance abuse problems and passed away from alcohol poisoning in her London apartment. It was said in her coroner report that she had a blood alcohol content of 0.416%, more than 5 times the legal driving limit. Chester Bennington. Frontman for Linkin Park, Chester Bennington was a very influential musician that wrote lyrics that spoke to the masses. Although it seemed he had it all, behind the scenes he was very depressed. As a result of his mental health, Bennington committed suicide at 41 years old in his California home. Bennington left behind a wife and 6 children. Michael Hutchins. The iconic 80s and 90s alternative group In Excess outgrew their fame in Australia and managed to become a global sensation. Their lead singer, Michael Hutchins, was at the forefront of that fame, but sadly, in another case of deteriorating mental health, committed suicide. Hutchins was 37 years old, and his music can still be heard on the radio and rock clubs.